G'day guys, Josh here. We're back where we left off, and I'm in Lutera at the moment, okay? So Lutera is a city, obviously as you know, it's the main city, main hub, and I thought this would be the perfect time to go through all the legends on the map. I talked about in the first video, second video, I think it was either the first, second video of the series, where I said this is like the map, we introduced the map, we didn't go through the legends and any stuff like that. But today we're going to go through the legends of the map so you know what you're looking for, basically. So simply with the legends, you can actually unclick this and it gets rid of all the quest trackers and stuff like that. You can re-click it to turn it back on. So with the quest here, so basically the quest icons is like it tells you where the main quest is, which you get on early on. A side quest, a dungeon quest, a sudden quest, which is just like an event quest that pops up while you're doing something. A world quest, which is what you follow after the main quest run out in Lutera. A co-op quest, which is basically like either a boss or an event. Basically down here is an example of it where like a festival and party happens every 24 hours. And next one is an adventure quest, which is generally a guide quest or like a roster quest overall. Like, such as building the Tragon ship or opening guardian raids or learning how to mine or learning how to logging, stuff like that. These will, alert you to this. Una tasks are different. Una tasks is basically like a daily, like daily stuff in WoW. And it will list that, what you got to do down here. Next up is Stronghold Quest. Stronghold Quest is basically for your Stronghold. We did a big video about that previously. So if you got a Stronghold Quest to like get someone in, get someone as a merchant and stuff like that. We did talk about the merchants rotating as well, and they can have good goods as well. You do basically, this is like to do maybe employ a merchant or something like that in your Stronghold. Next up is the Aryan Landmark. So purple is like a mini dungeon, it's like a story mission as per se, where it like progresses the story. You've probably seen a lot of them already on your way to Lutera, and if you're to Northfern and stuff like that, we haven't got to level 50 content yet. I'm not going to discuss that yet, but you would have already seen a lot of these already, okay? And they're just little cutscenes of big parts of the story. The dungeon and the party dungeon. The dungeon is like an optional thing you can go into. A lot of story missions have it as a compulsory thing you must do, and they have a hard mode and easy mode, as you guys have seen already. And same with the party and arc dungeon, where there's an arc in there or like something significant to the story, and you can go and matchmake with a party. Dungeons you can only usually do by yourself. A Chaos Gate is, we'll talk about rifts later. A Chaos Gate is basically, it's a daily kind of thing where you get rift shards, as you can see the currency up here, and also you can get a map, and that map leads to you do in a group and you can get more rewards from it, pouches for shards and stuff like that as well. We won't talk about that yet because it's to do with tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 honing. It's stuff when you're level 50. Okay, and this is just an event that you do each day when it's active to be able to get that little bit further as well. A portal is basically you can go to another zone. So you can go to Battleborn Plains down here. So it's a portal. So if I walk through there, I go to Battleborn Plains. And if I walk through here, I go to Daroka Plains. A portal statue is basically like a half-stone. So with Song of Return, if you guys have noticed in F2 with Song of Return, that you can half to any area. With halving to any area, you can go back, you can register your half-stone here, and when you play Song of Return, you just return to Lutera. Triport, these things as well. You're definitely familiar with them as well by this point. You can just click a triport, and you can just teleport anywhere. The legend just tells you where the triport is, and just be aware you can click on the map, and it just goes anywhere. Next up, we can talk about the entrances. So, Guardian Raids, Abyss Raids, and Legion Raids, these are like late-tier content. They're generally all around in one area, so you can see here, there's the Abyssal Raid, there's the Legion Raid, there's the Abyssal Dungeon. There's also the Cube, Tower, and Boss Rush. These are like, you need tickets to get into the Cube and Boss Rush. We'll talk about that later, what they entail. And the Tower is mainly for max level. So these things are mainly for max level. Don't worry about it too much. Now, Platinum Field is for professions and stuff like that. There's a little ticket you can get from while doing professions. And you can go into a little event to collect certain items, stuff like that. And you get gems from it as well, which can be traded in for profession items. We'll talk about the Platinum Field a bit later. It's not so urgent as per se, because I don't do it too much. But, you can get a lot of profession materials from there. The arena is PvP, so you can basically PvP in the arena. And basically the exchanges and all the arena stuff is all around here. The Siege Status Board. The Siege Status Board can be found in the guild area. It's generally to do with GVG and GVE content. We haven't talked about guilds yet, and we'll get to that. But guilds can set, set stuff from the Siege, and begin the stuff from the Siege table as well for Guild v Guild events, for, Sumail, Bloodstone, stuff like that. And last but not least is Throne Spire. Throne Spire is just a tier 3 tower. So it's just tier 3 and it's a tower, okay? So nothing too different there, okay? Now next up is the NPC. So the NPCs, there's the General Merchant. This only sells Awakening Chaos Shards. and also sometimes some quest objectives as well. Like, for example, Lutera's general merchant sells Lat's poetry book, which is used for a Una task, which we'll talk about later. A special merchant, which is really just for Turtle Island, where you can buy a turtle mount for coral, which is you can only get from a turtle Una quest. Trade merchant is basically you just highlight the trade merchant and it tells you what it sells. So basically with the trade merchant, you can just tell it sells something and you can just highlight it to see what it sells and what it's used for. So like Abyss Trade, Legion Raid Exchange, Essential Honing Mat, stuff like that. You go in and talk to them. Let me just give you an example here. The Legion Raid Seal basically exchanges like I actually don't know about the Legion Raid Seal. I'll actually get to that later, but let's just talk about the Abyss Trade. The Abyss Trade allows you to trade certain items you get from Abyssal dungeons for accessories, like random accessories and stuff like that. And now the crafting one. The crafting one to craft Abyss equipment and Legion Commander gear crafting. This one is for tier 3 where you can craft gear with certain tokens and stuff like that and certain items. And you can craft a piece of gear which extends your armor further. We'll talk about tier and honing later, but you can understand it just makes your items a lot better. You can't use it yet. You have to be level 50 and you have to be into tier 3. Next up is a repairer. You repair your gear here. You've probably been here a lot of times to just repair your gear. Storage is basically your chest. You can just basically put there in as well. You can also access your storage via your pet if you do have the pet aura from Crystalline Aura. Collection reward. This is basically mainly the island vendor. The island, you may have been introduced to it as we talked about sailing. The Lonely Island, where you can put your island souls in here. This is where you put it. The Market Broker is the AH. We discussed the AH previously. The Voyage Manager is something when you hit 50, you get the thing called the Ocean Liner. And basically, you go to that person, and then you can sail across the 7 seas to wherever you've been, basically. Then you get the Pet Management, where you can change your pet's, if it gives you HP or any defensive stats, or gives you specialization, crit, or swiftness, or anything like that. This is a rapport NPC. We talked about that previous video. This is where you know you can flirt, or I call it flirting, but you can build rapport with a NPC. And Currency Broker, last but not least, is the Mari Store, basically. So you can buy gold with royal crystals, or you can buy crystals with gold. Next up is the honing area. So basically you get the gear honing, where you can upgrade your gear when you're in tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. We'll talk more in depth about that a bit later. You get a stone cutter, where you can cut your ability stones. You probably got introduced to that in East Terra. And you got gem experts, which is mainly for tier 2 and tier 3, where it'll be grayed out. Most of these professions, but if you can't use it, it'll be grayed out until they're usable, basically. But basically you can change your gems from, like, you know, doing this ability to another ability. A skill tree is basically tripods. This is mainly for tier 3, where you can increase abilities in your tripods. I actually talked about it when we went through the skills and tripods menu. That's what you can do to add it to your gear. And quality upgrades really for late tier 3, where you can upgrade the quality of your items, which increases the some of the stats that you get from it as well, and also the weapon power, which can be very important as you can increase your DPS significantly. And that's pretty much it. So let's talk about the trade skill. We got ore, timber, and foraging, fishing spot, hunting, and ruins. This basically tells you where you can hunt for these objectives. Now, the hunting, that's only for big traps. Basically, with hunting in general, you have to look for the bunny and stuff like that, and it has a target above it if you've got tracking active. Fishing spots, foraging, timber, and ore. These 3 are only active if you are close to an ore, timber, or foraging. If you are not, they are not visible. Fishing spots are always visible on the map, so you can see them. Like, let's say, for example, we go to Lake Bar. We'll just do it here. I think Lake Bar's in West Lutera. So if we go to Lake Bar, you can see the fishing spots automatically, but you can't see the ore, obviously, because I'm not near it. But that's the case that you got to, consider. Now, last but not least is the ruins. The ruins, you never see this legend ever. Okay, so the ruins, you just have to do the sonar and just basically keep searching over and over again. There are a lot of strategy guides on how to do tier 1 excavating, tier 2 excavating, and tier 3 excavating, because tier 2 and tier 3 contain important fusion materials that you do need for excavating. And hunting, all you can see is just the big traps, and you can't really see that until level 20. Now, other. So the other is just the Mikoko seed. So you can see here, there's Mikoko seeds here. And that's just to show you that, I've caught that Mikoko seed. So Mikoko seeds are basically a collectible item via horizontal content. I will probably do a bit of a video later on what they are and what they can reward, and for what each collectible rewards as well. But we don't want to do that at the moment. You can also see if you got all of the Mikoko seeds in a location by checking the top right, as you can see here. Now, another thing about the map as well, you can zoom it out and zoom it in to specific areas. So you can see here, just use the mouse scroll to zoom it in and zoom it out. You can also got all your tripods to the left. So you can see here, you can teleport to all these tripods on this continent at any time. And last but not least, you can actually go up and down this level. So if there's an item here where there's multiple layers, you can click the layer and go down and see more, items and stuff like that. Like, for example, there could be like a guild vendor down here and you didn't really know about it either. Now, last but not least, there is another legend, which is like a cogwheel, and that is the Wandering Merchant. And you can go use Lost Merchants. I believe the site is lostmerchants.com, and your server has a community base where it will basically tell you, hey, this merchant's here and stuff like that. And it's just a small cogwheel where you can buy rapport gifts and specific items for the adventurous tome from there as well. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this, I know it was a 10-minute, long guide of going through the map legend and stuff like that, but it helps you understand, the city and a bit more and stuff like that as well. We did miss a few as well. We did miss a few the potion merchant here. So if you see that potion, that is the potion merchant. If you see this sign here, that is the adventure helper who can help you on your way on what you're meant to be doing and stuff like that. There's a few other things as well. Actually, we got to go for a bit more because these legends aren't here. This is the Ignia token. So if you fully complete an adventurous tome, you go there to collect your award. This is a world tree leaf. Basically, you go here, generally obtain any world tree leaves that you've got from professions, which give you some good rewards. And also his skin modding as well. Skin modding is basically you can change your skins to make yourself look better. There's also the food merchant, and you can see a lot of food merchants here. They can be cherries or bread. The cook is generally the chef's hat, and also the cooking ingredient merchants with the wine bottle, but in a tinge of green. Also, here's the trade material exchange where you can exchange trade materials for the dust to upgrade to better ones. And here's the processor to change materials into ship parts and stuff like that to upgrade your ship. The alchemist can also make flares, potions, and stuff like that as well. However, the alchemists aren't really that good, so you probably want to use, you want to use your stronghold a lot more. There's also the festival guides here, so basically it's a merchant that's festival guide, so Macracker leaves, you can trade that in here. And also there's another one in every city called the Exchange Rapport, where you can exchange your Providence Stones for rapport items. And also here's the mailbox as well, which we did introduce to you as well, where this is where you pick up the mail. And last but not least, this is the map exchange. So you can actually buy maps with your rift shards, and this is where a lot of people get the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 maps. I recommend not buying any maps until Northfern, okay? Northfern and any of those tiers, because these don't give you loot, okay? These give you like gear pieces and that's it. They don't give you loot to improve your honing or anything like that. Overall, that's like pretty much most of the thingos here, like most of the guides. There's also Challenge Abyss dungeons and Challenge Guardian raids as well. So you can see here they've got a similar icon, but mostly all the content you can do at level 50 is all in one area, so it's very, very easy to get to. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the map today. I hope you guys learnt a lot, and hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll be probably doing, so you hit level 50, what do we do next? Very shortly, okay. See you later, guys.